I think we are on. Well, hello, Oliver.
Sláinte, Ireland. Hello, William Lee Adams.
Nice to see you. Porik has been busy writing the results post, so sadly he can't join us. He had an exhausting evening taking care of that. But Oliver, who was watching. Oh, do you hear something? Do you hear a
I
commercial?
had I had us on
I
playback.
hear a
It's
TV
fine.
commercial
We're
playing.
good. We're good. We're okay.
Oh, no, babes, I hear it
Sorry.
now. Oh, it's wiwibloggs advertisement. Sorry. All right. So listen, we're going to go through the results, but first, let's just get our first reaction to the winner, Brooke Scullion. That's rich. Oliver, what do you think?
Obviously, this was a favorite going into it, and I do think that this was the best song, so I have to say hats off to Brooke. My biggest issue with this, and I have some very strong opinions about this entire national final, so please get ready for them. But this outfit with the pajamas, I am not feeling that. That is sale rack at Primark, and I was expecting something maybe a little bit fancier for a song that's called That's Rich. I get maybe there's kind of the play, there's the irony of it. She has this narrative that matches her personality, and that's what a lot of people fell in love with. So I understand the outfit choice in that sense, but maybe she was going for like a Dua Lipa New Rules kind of vibe. But overall, I think this is very deserved. Really good vocal, really fun performance, and yeah, absolutely a worthy winner.
Amazing. So I'm not going to go into the breakdown of the jury results simply because I think they're keeping that anonymous. And like if they do reveal it like Spain did, and then you know my points, then you can figure out other people's points, and then people become targets of hate, and it's just not necessary. But what I will say is that with the jury vote, it was very close at the top between Brooke, That's Rich, and Patrick O'Sullivan with One Night, One Kiss, One Promise, one song written by Nikki Byrne. There was a lot of love for both of these performances. But in any case, focusing on Brooke, That's Rich, this needs a revamp or a rethink. I think without the effect on the chorus, it sounds a little strange. However, her charisma, her personality, the way she kind of had presence on that stage, that made a huge difference. You felt like she was having fun. Yes, the costume needs a rethink, and so does the staging. But hey, better to save your budget for the actual Eurovision than to waste your budget at home, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like they can take whatever money they have and like use it at Eurovision and put it to better effect because they'll have like a proper stage, like a big stage. Yeah, this is a radio friendly song. I mean, clearly the public in Ireland got behind it, the international jury got behind it. The domestic jury, you know, this is something we should point out. That jury, I'm assuming, voted on tonight, and they saw tonight's performances. The international jury voted on a performance from yesterday, and people's vocals were different on each day. I thought Brooke sounded well good on both days actually. So I don't know why they put her so low, but hey, maybe they were worried that they would be seen as voting for someone wearing pajamas, on the stage. Like it was a pajama party in Dublin. And perhaps domestic jurors who have a reputation at home, they have different considerations. But when you're a foreigner, nobody knows me there. I can vote you know what I'm saying? Like you can vote for who you want to vote. So it gives you freedom. In any case, let's take some comments quickly. Ooh, Skog says domestic jury. I call it a firing squad. Martin
Oh,
Owens says the song needs oomph on the first chorus. They build a song that's already poppy from the start. Dwayne Mahimacher says, yeah, it feels like it needs a revamp. Jamie says it needs some work, but it was so clearly the right choice tonight. Louis Webster says domestic jury had no taste. And Joshua McLaughlin agrees, oh my God, banish the domestic jury. Oliver, how would you revamp the song?
oh gosh, I think that there needs to be some more vocal flourish for me. I think that Brooke has a strong vocal, but I don't think that we're quite seeing her go outside of her tessitura. We're not really seeing her, reach the heights of her range. And I'd really like to see her exploit that a little bit more. Really, get loud, get high, not in that kind of way. Show me what you can really do with that vocal. Because to me, I think the song is a little bit bland. I like it. I think it's catchy, but it's definitely missing something. There's momentum that needs to come in, whether that's some kind of new riff, whether that's more dynamic changes and volume. It's There needs to be something extra, and I don't think it's going to quite come from staging. I think they need to build a good foundation with a good revamp of this song, and then the staging will come together. We can't dress this up more than it already has been without improving the song first. You know, you've got to have those solid building blocks.
Yeah. Sinan is shouting out to your mug. He loves your mug, which is beautiful. I will also. Oh wow, gay and goth, honey. I have a Le Creuset French mug. Oh my god.
Ooh,
Yeah,
fancy.
historic but trendy. What was I going to tell you? I agree with you. The song needs more of a climax. I feel like it kind of plateaus. However, it is catchy. And, you know, people have been going crazy about it for weeks because there's something here that's fresh and modern, but they need to freshen it up within the song towards, you know, that 2 minute mark. I'm like, okay, mix it up, change it up. And they can do that. I don't think this has to be a super expensive revamp where, you know, they call in Thomas Gayson and they fly to Stockholm. No, they can do this at home. She can come to London. We love her from The Voice. Was it X Factor? I forget. All I know is we love our girl, Brooke. Okay. There's potential. And I think for Ireland, this is very fresh. I do worry about the staging. She had said on Twitter that she wanted to bring in some massive props, but that for whatever reason, I don't know if it was COVID restrictions, size of the studio, budget, she couldn't bring them in. And when she said big old prop, I thought of Lemon in RuPaul's Drag Race UK versus the World jumping off of a box and doing a split. There was something very Drag Race about her staging. Do you know what I mean? Drag on a dime. You know, the colors. I'm not making any gender statements, by the way. I'm just talking about the execution, the campness. I personally enjoyed it, but I just think they really need to elevate the staging and give this a slight revamp. Let's take some more comments. Harry Davis says, it's a great bass, but definitely needs a rethink live. On that note, Oliver, the reverb, the lack of reverb or effect in that section, how do they solve that?
Oh, I mean, I think this is potentially a limitation of the venue. You know, while this is a TV venue, they've only got so much time to turn this around from being a chat show format to being a national final Eurovision show. And ultimately, I think that what we are going to see on stage in May is going to have a lot more production value behind it.
Oh, sorry, I was pointing to the comment from Egan O'Regan.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping that does get solved. You know, we do get reverb on, you know, microphones. There is a strange thing happening at Eurovision at the moment when we've got songs that are creeping in with more and more vocal effects. So look at Norway, we've got Subwoofer, tons of vocal effects there. I mean, I know that, you know, it might not win MGP, but it looks like it's going to. And that will probably go to Eurovision in the exact same way. In Spain, we had Luna Key disqualified or withdraw from Benidorm Fest because of the vocal effects, you know, the auto-tune. But we have had vocal effects from Joust. We've had things from My Mind Goes to Ovoje Balkan, Serbia 2010. And there's lots of microphone trickery that they can get away with. So I'm hoping that this was just a limitation of the venue itself, the environment that she was in, rather than any restrictions placed on her. Because that would be completely silly. Reverb is a normal thing to have on a microphone, and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't alter your voice. It just alters the way the sound moves around the room.
Let's talk about the national jury. This is Matty Wellen. He says, I think that someone could have come out and just screamed into the microphone and the domestic jury would have praised them. They just had no critical bones in their bodies. So, yeah, I must say there was kind of nonstop praise. And perhaps they wanted to keep this a family-friendly, positive event in light of historic Eurosong events where Linda Martin was calling people odious toads or odious stooges. I can't remember. Yeah, it's kind of like the UK selection. The judges don't actually judge. You know, they're there to kind of hype. And it's okay. I understand that in a TV format you need to do that. Their results. They gave their 12 points to Ashes of Yesterday, 10 points to Yeah, We're Gonna Get Out of It, 8 points to Real Love, 6 points to Patrick O'Sullivan, 4 points to Brooke, and 2 points to Brendan Murray. Curiously, Brendan Murray came last with all 3 juries. Let's start with the winner of the domestic jury. What do you make of Ashes of Yesterday?
I enjoyed this actually. Watching it, I thought that this was the most Eurovision ready immediately. Again, a couple of issues with, I think, just overall production value, camera cuts, again, those environmental factors that we saw with most of the performances tonight, let's say. But this has this kind of folky Irish undertone. It's very, very subtle, but that kind of folk pop movement, that's everywhere in the charts, or at least it was a couple of years ago. It would have been a very safe option for Ireland. And yeah, I would have liked to see this go to Eurovision. But I think that ultimately it didn't really reflect what the audience was feeling. Safe is the word, isn't it? It's just, we've heard it before. It's good. The ingredients are there. And, everything works together, but we want something new, fresh and exciting, and it wasn't quite there.
2 points. The first is when producers are putting together a show for a domestic audience, they have to reflect the different types of music within the country. Their point as a state broadcaster, using taxpayer money, is to reflect all people. So I understand why they included this song. It's an X Factor's winner single, middle of the road, and therefore appeals to many people. They did pair it with an amazing singer. In the jury final, or the jury rehearsal that we voted on yesterday, she was flawless. I didn't hear her tonight because we were doing technical stuff, but she was flawless in the jury show. And the jury ended up putting her third. I put her slightly lower. And for me, that was simply because, to me, this sounds a little predictable, and the word was safe. Michael Phelan says domestic jury don't have any recent historic knowledge of Eurovision, no useful references. And that's a really good point. Eurovision has changed a lot in a short span of time. And if you don't have that knowledge, it can be hard to understand, where songs could fit. And instead you use a schema, some mental shortcuts from the past. Never a good idea. All right. Oh yeah, just to say, safe does not get you to the final. If you're a country like Ireland, which struggles to make the final, you need something that stands out, whether that's super crazy, super radio friendly, you need something. And this was not that, but she's an amazing singer. Only love, honey. All right, the jury gave 10 points to Miles Graham. Yeah, we're gonna get out of it. First thoughts, Oliver.
Before I talk about this song, I do want to mention about the jury real quick, because I know that there are a lot of comments coming in about the state of the domestic jury. I know what we talked about with, juries being there to hype, more of like a secondary presenter role than really having any contribution.
Juries serving as spokesmen.
Yeah, totally. Which, if they're going to be there to hype, that's absolutely fine. But it is bizarre to me that they then have a say, because if they've been told not to be critical in any way, that completely defeats the object of a jury, in my opinion. Even when we do the wee jury, ultimately, our opinions are completely arbitrary. And, they don't affect any Eurovision result per se, but a jury is an open forum to have an opinion and to be critical. If you're sat there saying, I love this is amazing, because you don't want to offend anyone, all you actually do is set them up for failure, because you don't give them any way or any suggestions to improve. So that's what I do.
This is why I'm glad I had a tiger mom. I was never good at anything. Just want to chime in quickly. Jim W. says, yeah, the national jury is pointless because they have to pander to the audience. I don't blame them. Yeah. That is completely spot on. They were doing their job in terms of the commentary, which was to build people up.
Yeah, totally. This song, I have absolutely no idea what they saw in it. Catchy chorus, by all means. Staging, absolute mess. I mean, if you're going to give me kind of this Macklemore sound, which we don't very often see at Eurovision, like completely, very rare for Eurovision to get this kind of like garage, hip hop, indie pop, kind of sound. go all out with it. But this was just man sits at a piano, awkward wiggles of dance moves around him when the brass kicks in. And the brass is really dynamic. I really like the instrumentation in the song. I think that's probably its best feature. But just there was nothing marrying the two. It was complete juxtaposition between the visual and the audio. Really kind of made me cringe watching it. And it was really hard to swallow, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, so Miles' song, when it starts, it's very special, I think. I really get drawn in, that little hook with the children. It's very effective for me for about 90 seconds, but then I do think it needs more dynamism musically. It's kind of like a lot of these songs almost feel like demos that are not quite finished. Like even Brooke, it sounds like a very good demo that's not quite finished. And I don't know what that's about, but he lost to me sort of with the staging. I don't think the staging added enough dynamism to carry you throughout the whole thing, but I really like his voice. I think the song, it gave me tingles actually, the first 90 seconds. It's very inspiring if you listen to the lyrics. It's very sweet. Yeah, I look forward to hearing more music from him. Next, the national jury, sorry, earlier we said Brendan Murray came last in all three components. That was not true. Brendan Murray got 8 points with Real Love from the national jury. So I don't know what it was like this evening because I couldn't watch, but during the jury performance, it was a little screechy. He came last with the jury, and maybe he was having a bad rehearsal that we saw, but it just didn't sound as high quality as I would expect from Brendan, who has been on many shows and done very well. So perhaps he was having an off day when we saw him. The song is very singer-songwriter Ireland. Like this is you hear it, you're like, okay, this is an Irish ballad, And in that sense, it's great that they included this in the show. It really, again, diversity of music, representing the country. But for Eurovision, I feel like, we sort of had his vocal in 2017. And so to have his vocal again in 2022, I don't know, and it didn't do so well the first time. And I don't mean this with any disrespect, but I'm glad someone else got an opportunity. Oliver.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm generally never a fan of artists returning to Eurovision, especially so soon. I like to see, more talent. I like to see different people come through. I like to discover new artists. Brendan Murray is somebody who I've had my, musical ear listening out for since 2017. So he's always kind of been on the radar of my listening, and I just didn't really need to see this go to Eurovision. So ultimately, I'm glad it didn't win. Am I glad he gave it another shot? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, go for it. Why not? The song, again, it is winner's single of X Factor, slightly more mellow, but it's safe. And maybe we're seeing a theme here in the way that the domestic jury voted. They've put Janet Grogan really high with Ashes of Yesterday, similar kind of mass appeal song, very safe, and perhaps that's what they were trying to vote for. Ultimately, I think it's difficult to really read into this considering there were so few songs. I mean, when there's only 6 songs, you have to allocate your points somewhere. So who knows? But yeah, I wasn't really feeling this from the beginning. Brendan Murray's voice, I do think, is an acquired taste. It's it's very high pitched. He's very talented, but dying to try. For me, it was just dying. That hot air balloon. Oh, speaking of props earlier, I'm glad that Brooke didn't bring on props, because props with Ireland,
I gotta say, all I was seeing during Brendan's performance was Samantha Tina's Blood Moon Rising and Rigoberta Bandini's Breast. It was just missing the nipple. Now, I want to read some comments about Brendan. Finn Pleckerel says, pretty brutal of RTE to include both Rachel and Brendan's off-key big notes in their recap. Can't have helped their televote scores. Michael F. says, I'm not surprised Brendan Murray came third with the domestic jury, honestly. Seems like he was targeting the jury vote. Skog says, Brendan was okay, but his voice was very screechy and sounded like he was trying to break a wine glass. Matthew Joyce says, Brendan was very good tonight, but I actually prefer Dying to Try. And Ronald O'Brien says, Brendan was slightly off tonight, too. Now, look, we're going to move on. 6 points from the national jury, domestic Ireland, went to Patrick O'Sullivan. And I just want to say, Patrick O'Sullivan, who came second with the international jury, he almost won the international jury vote. It was very, very close. And I think it's obvious why. The performance, compared to the other ones, it had an effective use of the prop, right? Like the bed, they danced on it. They made love on it, metaphorically. He performed in front of it. It looked classy. You know, he made the most of this small setting, I thought. It was like tasteful. I'm not really into modern contemporary dance, but it was done well. And his voice, I didn't watch tonight, but in the jury show, it was absolutely perfect. And you also know he's from Ireland. When he sings, Patrick O'Sullivan, you're like, that's an Irish voice. Like, there's a sense of place. And boy, can he sing. I just think the song for me was perhaps, you know, Brooke was like the modern radio song, whereas his song is really beautiful, but I just don't hear it as much of, or think of it as much of as a radio hit, if that makes sense. Oliver.
Completely agreed, 100% down to the T. If there's anything I love about Ireland at Eurovision, it is when they send an Irish singer and you can hear the Irish in their voice. It's what I loved so much about Leslie Roy. You know, she did have that subtle Irish twang. Patrick O'Sullivan had it as well. Yeah, the song, I've got to be completely honest, I don't remember it at all. Oof. Part of that comes from the title, because it's so goddamn long. I just, like, one kiss, one night, one meaning, one, like, cut to the chase, just short titles, please. Yeah, really stellar vocal performance, and I think this was an effective use on props. I'm completely with you. I'm not a huge fan of contemporary dance. I think it looks bizarre at Eurovision, but when we think about Ireland and contemporary dance, my mind goes to Ryan O'Shaughnessy.
Oh, I was doing Riverdance, sorry.
Oh, totally. I mean, that too. I mean, that interval act was
awesome.
Probably one of the highlights of the show. I mean, it always has been. But yeah, Ryan O'Shaughnessy worked magic with contemporary dance, so it can be really effective when implemented appropriately. And I think Patrick O'Sullivan did really well to incorporate, you know, that into his performance without it taking away from his vocal presence.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to read you some comments on Patrick. Jin C says, happy with the winner, but Patrick's song 1 was my pick. The studio jury getting dragged here in Ireland. Their voting was so out of sync with everyone else. Michael F says, I expected Patrick to do much better with the domestic jury. I actually thought that as well. I thought he was going to win the domestic jury, and then he ended up coming solo. Halen's World says, Patrick's vocals were chef's kiss. One World Music says Patrick's song was the most outstanding. Matthew Joyce said the bed made zero sense, and the way the domestic jury made a bit of fun of it kind of made the idea of Patrick representing even more cringe. ABCDEFG says Patrick was great tonight. I hope he comes back again with an even better song. Forgive me if I'm whispering. Everyone's asleep in the house, which is why I'm not shouting. Teddy Tete says Patrick's energy was way off for the song. He was very diva-ish, almost angry and sassy for a very romantic and beautiful song. See, I thought it was more like he had the foreplay, then he had the business. So his diva moment was the business. You know what I'm saying? And they were behind him, you know, doing their business. Any final comments on Patrick? Shane Hughes says, I loved his voice, but Patrick's song was so Nicky Byrne. Oh, I love Nicky Byrne. Oh, my God. All right, we move on, and this is the talking point of the evening. Brooke got 4 points with That's Rich from the national jury. There were audible gasps. I had this on. I couldn't really hear it fully, but from what I can tell, there were audible gasps. And then the jury, they, of course, at the end had to congratulate her, and they were very polite. But I don't know how sincere. I mean, these things are tricky because, you know, you vote how you vote. Maybe they thought everyone was wonderful, so even their 2 points was amazing. I don't know what they were thinking. Oliver, my question to you is this. Why do you think Brooke came low with the domestic jury? And for you guys as well, shout out your comments using the word Brooke, and so I can find it in the search and share it in the chat.
I think part of it goes back to what we were saying before about the safe songs doing better with them. Brooke's song is maybe a little bit more out there for what they might be thinking a domestic audience wants. something that was mentioned in the comments earlier, which, forgive me, I don't remember the name, but it was that, Ireland, RTE, and these judges in particular were very focused on old school Eurovision references, constant references to Rock and Roll Kids, ABBA, Linda Martin, Niamh Kavanagh, whoever it may be. They are fixated on that, and they need to know that Eurovision has moved on. It's not always about the huge, big, belter notes. There's more nuance to it than that. And I wonder what criteria that these judges have been given to say, award the song that's got the highest note in it, award the song that's the best overall package. We just don't know at this point. If I was to place a bet on it, it would be, which song do you think is, the most appealing to everybody? Hence why they went with the safer, more radio, not more radio friendly, but kind of more, more family-friendly song, let's say, in Ashes of Yesterday. And, Brooke's performance is somewhat provocative. There's hints of girl power in there, the pajamas on stage. I mean, it's a bold choice. Maybe they thought that Ireland wasn't ready for that. I'm glad that she got the praise. And, they did have really great things to say about her during their comments, although that isn't saying much because they did for absolutely everybody. But hey, I mean, she still won. So at the end of the day, congrats to Brooke.
So I just want to say the framing is really interesting. So different broadcasters will give different juries different rules. In the past, some countries have said, vote for the song you think will do best at Eurovision. Others have simply said, vote for your favorite. Others say, vote for your favorite song. Others say, vote for your favorite performance. And that actually does impact your thinking. I don't know what the domestic jury was told. The international jury, we were told to vote for our favorite. So, and I like that because it's open-ended, because that could be the entire performance. That could include this, it's more open, which I think is important because viewers, they vote openly, right? To whatever it is, whether it's the song, the performance, the performer. So yeah, with Brooke, I'm going to go to the comments first. Rena K says, Brooke's speaking sounded early era Kesha, actually. Skog says, it was so two-faced how the domestic jury were cheering and praising Brooke straight after robbing her. Kieran W. Mann says, I think the juries voted Brooke low in order to create suspense for televote results as they knew she would get the most televotes. Potentially. Oh, hey, Aoife. Was delighted to see you. Hey, girl. Yes. Michelle says, it was so awkward watching them talk nicely to Brooke after giving her a very low score. Shout out to Professor from Maynooth, Adrian Kavanagh. He says, head explode, mind blowing. Me on hearing Brooke getting 5th place from the national jury. Emma Kay said, I think the national jury's idea of a Eurovision song is out of date, so Brooke's song scared them. And John Coster says Brooke had the best stage and the most contemporary song. And I'll add to that, she had a lot of charisma. She was playful. For a moment, I was like, she's serving Gwen Stefani, no doubt, playfulness. Harajuku girl relocated to Dublin. There was like a J-pop, K-pop element to the makeup, the pajama party. Yeah, it was a naughty pajama party. And while I think they need to tweak that for Torino, I think on this small stage, it worked. It creates a sense of intimacy. It's like, hey, we're all at the slumber party. That's rich, bitch. It was cute. It was cute. It was poppy. It was edgy, and it wasn't safe. It wasn't safe. In Ireland, as we've said earlier, Ireland needs to push the boat out a little because they're not an automatic qualifier or a secure thing. And this song has that radio-friendly vibe that could get them to the final. Lil Catherine says Brooke was too modern for them. That's right. Oh, Sorensen says, I think Paul Harrington pushed the others to make Brooke low. Oh, that's interesting. He's a very influential man. Is he the most famous person on the jury, probably?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I didn't know most of those jurors. But that was something I was about to mention, is that when jurors vote at Eurovision, they tend to do it in isolation, right?
Exactly.
And it's all, secretive. It's meant to be, don't share, don't influence each other. I mean, we see instances of potential breaches of that, absolutely. But here at Ireland, there was no, there was no secrecy. They were all hearing each other's comments, and even the spokesperson delivering the points for the domestic jury said, we have reached a consensus. So it seemed like they were, having this debate back and forth about who they were giving their points to. So absolutely, there could have been influence from elsewhere when other jury members felt more points were deserved. I mean, who knows? We could analyze this for hours and hours. It just goes on and on.
At the end of the day, our girl won because the public got behind her, the Irish people. And I love when that happens. Obviously, it doesn't always work out, but the same is true at Eurovision. Duncan Lawrence didn't win, both jury televote. I don't think he won either, actually. It's normal. And we just have to accept these are the voting systems and these are the results. Like, we don't need to set things on fire. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. And just so you know, in Romania in 2019, there was no consultation among jurors. Everyone was separate. Just putting that out there. All right. Ireland always goes for the safe bet, and the jury reflected that. The Irish public wants something new, not something they've seen 100 times. Brooke was definitely the best choice. Thank you, Skog. Last place with the domestic jury was I'm Loving Me. Rachel Good, The Ride 2.0. Let me just start this off by saying, in the jury show yesterday, she was amazing. She was vocally off the chart. I think tonight, from what I saw, she was more nervous and her voice wasn't as strong. I wish you could see that jury performance from yesterday. She killed it. And I think that she really elevated a mediocre song. Let's face it, we've heard this song at the Eurovision Song Contest 2021, sung by Rafał Brzozowski from Poland. This is the same song. I'm sorry. It's literally the same song. It even had the same neon staging. I was waiting for her to pull out a car and some men with black gloves and lights, because it was literally the same thing. But she sold it. She committed to it. And to me, this was the biggest grower from studio cut to live version. Unfortunately, I think the version tonight did not showcase what we saw yesterday in the jury show. She was excellent. In any case, thoughts on Rachel Good? And y'all comment too with Rachel so I can search for your comments.
It is absolutely The Ride 2.0, the remix. Even, down to the visuals, down to the music video, there were cars, there was like neon sunset kind of vibes. It's an odd choice. And I do, part of me does wonder, of the 320 or so songs that were supposedly submitted to this selection, was this really one of the best ones? I highly doubt it. But I will say that I think she was a really strong performer. And vocally, even if we do say she was more nervous tonight, I still think it showed how strong, of a vocal that she does have. And she clearly has a lot of talent. I just think she needed a better song to show that off. I think there's no point handing somebody a mediocre product and expecting their stage presence and their voice to build it up. Hand them something that, is crafted to them. This was just a demo that, I don't know, it sounds like a demo that got submitted to Melodifestivalen and was rejected, which was what happened to The Ride, right?
Yeah.
It could have been so much better, and I think that she could have done really well with a different song because she clearly has the talent. But no, this was a very clear, bottom of the scoreboard for me.
10 points from the televote. That's a huge achievement.
Yeah.
And, Luke Smith makes a very good point. The 80s vibe from Rachel is fire. People really responded to that. So in a weird way, being kind of out of date was a good thing. Let's read some comments. Michael F. says, I felt bad for Rachel. She had such a good start. Sean Keane says, it felt so bad for Rachel's failed note. Adam Carlton, Rachel still came second in the televote at least. Heather Owen said, they did Rachel dirty, putting the voice break in the recap. Oh, that's really interesting. I wonder if they had used a different clip. Could she have gotten 12 points? Who knows with the televote. Sean O. Dwyer says, Rachel was robbed. Finn says, pretty brutal of RTE to include that note. Andrew Johnson, they have Rachel oh, sorry. Yes, that's correct. Sorry. What am I doing? This is searching old comments. Let me scroll down. Here we go. Keenan says, hopefully Rachel comes back next year with a song that displays her voice properly. She's very talented. Adrian Kavanaugh, Rachel was good tonight in working cameras, something Irish Eurovision acts have struggled with, but problem with High Note tonight, which then featured on replay clip. One World Music says, Rachel's spot should have been given to some other entry. Oh no. And Jim W says, Rachel's song was so out of date. Thank God we didn't pick that. Okay, I need to end on some positivity. Ian says Rachel is also currently on another singing show for country music, which has a similar viewer base as The Late Late Show, may have influenced her high televote. That's very interesting insight. Question, I thought that One Night, One Kiss, One Promise was going to be like a huge contender for the win, and then it ended up finishing 4th overall. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm equally shocked. I mean, when we look at the leaderboard, second place officially, because I think it got the best spread of points, goes to, yeah, we're going to get out of it. And I think that really we shouldn't be looking too much into the overall results of, those top 4. They were very actually close. There was at one point where they were all tied on 16 points. So there was a lot of love spread between those. But my attention immediately goes to, yeah, we're going to get out of it, go into second place. And my immediate thought is, well, that's no measure of how brilliant a stage performance or how well something is going to do at Eurovision. I think it just probably comes down to a couple of different tastes on the night. It's very strange for me. It's very strange for me because he absolutely had the best vocal of the evening, in my opinion.
Devin O'Kearney, our friend, and a friend of our Rinska, by the way, says, very happy, the right song won, and if she lives up to her full potential, she can qualify comfortably. I'm going to ask 2 questions so we can wrap this up. The first question for all of you guys is I want you to rank Ireland in your top, is it 7 now?
I think so. We've just had North Macedonia select as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that brings us up to 6 or is it 7?
I think it's 7. So the countries are North Macedonia, Ireland, Spain, Albania, Czech Republic, Moldova, Bulgaria. Okay, so that's 7. I have to be honest, I've not heard the North Macedonian song, so I cannot rate it.
No.
Oliver,
it's been a busy evening.
Yeah, would you like to kick us off with your tops?
Sure. I'm going to keep Spain at the top as it was there the other day. I think this is so far the best overall package. Everything is there and ready to go for Eurovision. They just need some updated LED graphics. I'm going to say that Ireland slips into second place. I don't think that we've got the winner yet. I really don't. We've not heard anything that I think is top 5 material, if I'm completely honest. But yeah, Ireland, I'm enjoying it the most out of the rest of them, apart from Spain. Forgive me, it's been a long day. But yeah, no, Ireland is definitely up there for me, followed by Moldova because I think it's fun. And then I said this the other day in our Spain video, but the rest I just don't care for at all.
Okay, so my number 1 is by a huge margin is Chanel Slow Mo Spain. I think this is epic. She was that good in the national final. I can only imagine what Spain is going to pull on a massive stage. She deserves a stage like the MTV, EMAs. She deserves, a stage like the Wee Wee Jam. She deserves a really big stage, and I think she's going to kill it. My number 2, and I may be biased because I've heard snippets of the revamp, it's Ronella Hayati, Albania. I think the revamp will surprise you. They made it modern while keeping it ethnic, and it's not final. So if it improves significantly, it could overtake Spain, but for now, Albania is my number 2. The rest of them. I think Czech Republic has a better product at this moment than Ireland, but I prefer Ireland's song. So I'm going to slip Ireland in at number 3, but this needs a revamp. It really needs a revamp, a rethink with the staging. I guess I'm the potential. I'm seeing the potential. I'm seeing the personality. I'm seeing that marriage of the two. This was the standout tonight for me, no doubt. It was. So I'm just hoping they can take it and run with it. The rest of the songs at Eurovision this year, I'll go Czech Republic, Moldova, Bulgaria. I haven't heard North Macedonia. But I send love to everyone. Our readers, just going to quickly shout out to them. Renzo says Spain. Sheila La 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 says Albania. Bob says the USA has a version of ESC. Amen, American Song Contest. Film 4, Czech Republic. Sheila, Spain. Yvonne, Albania. Gary, Ireland. Amazing. Oh, Snuggle Snack says, why does everyone love Spain so much? It's a generic Yes Girl, Slay Fuego song, and they're getting annoying at this point. I think for me, what works is that this is Latin reggaeton sung by a Spanish woman of Cuban origins. So the Latin reggaeton is so authentic and real. Like, it's in her, but Cuba kills this type of music. And, like, she's got that in her. She's got Spain in her. I don't know. It just feels real. People can call it cheap, but that beat is fierce. It's addictive. I keep looping it. I don't get bored of it. And I love a song about sexy female empowerment. Shout out to my feminized Buddha. Shout out to the case that is shiny. I had to remove the case during the Late Late Show thing because I didn't want it to reflect. Anyways, my mother once told me when I was unemployed, the reason you can't find a job is because you have Buddha in a container. And I was like, lady, that is not the reason I don't have a job. I'm not looking for a job. Anyway, in any case, the final question of the evening, which goes to all of you, and please just answer yes, no, or yes and qualify it briefly. Oliver, can this qualify? It is performing in the second half of the second semi-final of Eurovision 2022. Can this qualify?
Based on running order alone, yes, it can, but it will need a significant rework and overhaul. Otherwise, absolutely not. There is an advantage with Ireland being in the semi-final because I believe the UK is voting here. So, I mean, not to get too into voting blocks and voting patterns, but traditionally the UK and Ireland do exchange a few points, even if they are very low in numbers. It will need a lot of work to get there because, I mean, for me personally, Leslie Roy was one of my absolute favorites last year. Still listen to that song to this day. And she came dead last in the semi-final. And I'm still very, very upset about that. You know, we can talk about staging issues that might have been there, absolutely. But I don't know. I think that was a better foundation of a song. And I think it was more enchanting to me. It was more captivating. It was more unique and original. So if people weren't vibing with that, will they vibe with this? I don't know. Running order can change everything, and we will have to wait to see the rest of the competition before we make any final judgments.
Deck Burke says, first time I've ever been 100% sure an Irish song is safe. Lewis Rowe, yes. RJ, yes. I've been sharing these. Vanessa, shout out. Bonsoir, girl. With a good revamp, yes. Without, no. Let me just read you the countries performing in the second half of the second semifinal. Montenegro traditionally struggles. Romania has struggled a lot in recent years. Czech Republic, We Are Domi. Poland has struggled a lot in recent years. Belgium, never a safe qualifier. North Macedonia, never a safe qualifier. Sweden, they're going through. Estonia, never a safe qualifier. And Ireland, never a safe qualifier, y'all. So
interesting.
Yeah, so basically Sweden is the only lock based on historical success. So I think Ireland more than ever has a chance to go through. Watch, 9 of the entries come from the first qualifiers come in the first half and 1 come in the second. That doesn't happen. So they really need to nail their staging. I mean, it's so obvious. Leslie Roy's downfall was not her song, it was her staging, and she herself has said that. And I don't think she had complete control, if I'm totally honest. But anyway, that's for another time. I think that if Brooke can give us a memorable few moments and tweak that song so it has more of a, more shape, more topography, our girl is going to the final. Give us shape, give us staging. So basically give us revamp, like visually and, auditory, because she's got the personality. She's got the pizzazz. She's got the hunger. Let me just tell you a story. The day the artists were announced, first one, don't receive a press pack. Second one, don't receive a press pack. When Brooke was announced, our girl sent out a selection of 60 photos, okay? She was ready to seize her moment. Yeah, and you've got to play the game. You've got to put yourself out there, and she's ready to do that. Yeah, in any case, that is what we think. What do you think? Are you happy with Eurosong 2022? Did you enjoy the show as much as we did? Are you happy with the winner? Let us know in the comments down below.
And you can follow us on multiple social media. Look at our pin boards on Pinterest, if that's what they're called. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and all the rest. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay amazing. Sláinte Ireland. Good luck to you, Brooke.
Yes, Sláinte girl. And we will see you later. Bye.
Bye.